So this is essentially the task that we are going through. The reason it's called action extensions is because these tasks are based on actions that the model can perform. So not just finding information, not just fetching content for you, not just doing certain things, it can perform actions for you. Now, what do we mean by actions that the model can perform? Right? These actions could include changing things on your phone. So let's say, how much battery percentage does my phone have? Or if you have smart lights in your house, can you please switch on the smart lights for me? So performing an action for you is what we're training the model in. And these specific tasks are related to calendar action. So what essentially do you do on your calendars? What do you generally do on your calendar? I'll open up the chat for y'all. Schedule meetings, set alarms, add reminders. Right? Do you also go back to check what's set on your calendar instead of just setting it? Right? You set it and you also go back to check what's set. So these are essentially the two things the model is also being trained on as of now. There might be more things that the model can perform for you on your calendars. So you can tell the model, please go and set a meeting for me at 6 o'clock. Or you can go and ask the model, what's in my calendar for 7 o'clock? Either of these things can be done through this, and that's what we're training the model to do right now. Okay, that's the task. So you have your question here. This is when the thing was created, the prompt that was asked by the user. This is your prompt itself. Open my calendar for 7 p.m. Now, along with the prompt, you will also be given context. Now, what is context? The model needs to be given some information from your calendar to be able to go and do your task. Do models generally have access to your calendars? Do you have to enable permissions whenever you set up something on your phone? So that's essentially what models are also given access to. If the model has access to your calendar, only then it's going to be able to go and do this for you. Right? Imagine I ask you to write a 200-word essay on climate change from the documents that I'm giving you. And then I give you two documents that are not related to climate change, but they are talking about prompting. Would you be able to write a 200-word essay on climate change from those documents? No. The context is not given to you to go and do the task. Right? Right. Vimlesh, I'm not sure why this has come up. It might be a multiple entry in the form or your sole IDs are duplicate. You can leave the meeting if you want to. Right. So you need some context. The model will need access to your calendar to be able to go and fetch the task for you or create an event for you. So that's exactly what you will be seeing in your context blocks. What information from your calendar is available to the model? So this entire calendar that you had is available to the model. Okay. Based on that, it has the responses. So these are your responses. The model was asked, open my calendar for 7 p.m. And this is the response that the model came up with. Now, along with the responses, you also have the context, which is a part of your question itself. Your response A context is the information that the model needed to fulfill your task. So that's not the response. That's a part of your query itself. After that, you have these blocks. So these are codes. What is a code and a code output in the first place? Right? So this is your code. This is your code output. Right? If you see, there might be blocks with no contents in them. Your first block is almost always the user's question. Then the second block is the model trying to identify how to do these tasks. So the model deploying its own thought process in decoding, okay, how am I going to complete this task? What's going to be my plan of action? Then you will see the model deploying a code. right? When I say deploying a code, it is going to use something to go and perform your task. In simple words, let's say I ask the model, please find hotels within a budget of 2000 per night in Hyderabad. The model needs to get this information from somewhere, right? If I ask you something, what do you do? Now we have GPT, Gemini, all of this, but what would you do initially? You would go to Google search, you would go to Google flights, let's say if you wanted flight information, or you'd go to make my trip or something. So you make use of some tool that's available to get the information. That's exactly what models also do, and these tools are made available to the model. So there's some specific things that the model has available to them, right? For your calendar task, generic calendar or anything that basically says calendar that's relevant to the question is the tool that the model is going to deploy. Then is your function. So this is the function, which is what is the model doing with this tool? Is it searching for things? Is it going and playing YouTube videos? So then play would have come. And then these parts are your parameters. So parameters are your refining criteria. Right? What's a parameter? Parameter is your refining criteria. Let's say you want to shop online, you're trying to buy a television. You know in your mind that you want a 42-inch television. You want it from Sony. You want it to have HD speakers. So when you go to your applications website, wherever you're buying it from, Reliance, Chroma, directly from Sony, wherever, you put filters. You say, all right, I want it from this brand. I want it from, I want it as a 42-inch TV, and I want this. So all these filters that you put are your parameters that are required for the model to refine its search and give you the most appropriate answers. As a result of this, it comes up with a code output. So once the code is deployed, what's the output of it is given to you here. Sometimes it's given, sometimes it's not. Let's see, block 4 here doesn't have anything. Block 3 doesn't have anything. So I'll show you how you tackle these things, but this is your code output, right? After the code was deployed, what did the model come up with? In your generic everyday things, let's say you used Google search to give me a 200-word essay on prompting. My task for you was, please write a 200-word essay on prompting, and you use Google search for that. You come up with 10 links. All these 10 links will have some information. So what you do, you first bring all this information together. Then you go through it and pick out your main points. So all the information you found when you made your search becomes the base for you creating an answer. And that's exactly what a code output is. When it deployed the code, what was the output that came up? And then this will help the model come up with your answers. This might be done multiple times if the model is not able to get your answers in the first go. Are we clear till here? Is this making sense? So we do have our prompt, we have context that will be made available to the model to answer your questions, and then you will have your responses. These responses will be evaluated based on these dimensions. What are these dimensions? The first one you've got is something called a punt. What is a punt? I'll go through that. Then you have instruction following. So everyone who's done even the fundamental test, you know what instruction following is. We'll quickly skim through these. I don't want to bore you all with all the instructions, right? To give you a one view of what are the dimensions that you're going to evaluate. These are the dimensions: punt, instruction following, contextual awareness, relevance. So you already know what contextual awareness is, you know context awareness, you know relevance, you know completeness, writing style and tone, collaborativity. Truthfulness is nothing but factual accuracy. And then information retrieval, I'll take you through that, code and code output as well. We already discussed what code and code output is. I'll take you through how to rate it as well. And then you have your overall response quality, right? Let's start with the first dimension, which is your punt. So what is a punt in the first place? A punt is when the model refuses to answer the prompt, meaning the user asked a particular question and the model refused to answer. The model said, I cannot do this for you. Or the model says, sorry, I can't find this information for you. So the model denies, the language might be different. Sometimes the model might give you a reason for not doing your task, sometimes it won't. That does not matter. What you're going to look for when you are identifying a punt is, did it actually answer my question or did it refuse to answer my question? If it refuses, that becomes a punt. Now, there are four categories under this that you will have to mark. The first one is response is a punt, just a punt, right? If you see the next two, there's useful and not useful. But the first category we have is response is a punt. Here, all the model does is refuses to answer you. You only have the punt statement where the model says, sorry, I can't answer this. As an AI model, I can't do this. Or it might give you reasons. So, reasons are not extra information for you. Reasons are still a part of the model's refusal, just trying to justify why it's not able to do this. Let's go through some examples. Let's say I ask the model, please find me flight information for 5th May 2025. Will the model be able to do this for me? No? Right? Guys, any logistical questions, can we please not put it in the chat box? I don't want to not make this interactive by letting you all put answers. But at the same time, let's leave all logistical things about soul platform, attendance, everything to the end. Okay? Right. If I ask the model, find me flights for a past date, you said the model cannot do this. So let's say the model comes back and says, sorry, I can't do this for you because these dates seem to be in the past. Okay for the model to say that? Yeah? But it's still refusing. So what does that mean? That is a punt. Now, the next category is useful punt, which means model refuses to answer, but at the same time also gives you some useful information along with it. So it might not answer what you want because it might not be able to do this for you, right? It's saying these dates are in the past, I can't get you flight information for this. However, if you give me new dates and your destinations as well, I might be able to help you. So that becomes a useful punt because the model is still providing some related yet useful information for you to be able to go and find your answer. Right? So it might be alternative questions, it might be clarifications, it might be suggestions, it might be considerations, but the model is giving you some extra information beyond just refusing to answer you. Now let's say on the same thing about the flight information. Model said, sorry, I can't do this for you. These dates seem to be in the past. However, Hyderabad is a beautiful place. It's got Charminar. It's got a lot of tourist attractions that you can go and visit. Will that information help me find flights? No, right? So those things where the model refuses gives you extra information, but this information cannot be used by the user to move towards their goal. That becomes responses, not a useful punt. So this is just refusing. It may have reasons, but reasons are not extra information. Extra information is where the model goes after refusing also, it goes and gives you alternatives, suggestions, follow-up questions, clarifications, alternative ways to find your own answer. If you are not able, if the model is not able to help you, it'll tell you that as an AI model, I can't do this, but this is how you can go and do it. Right? So all of that is useful information after the refusal. So that becomes response is a punt. After that is response is not a useful punt, where I've told you that extra information will still be there. But this information cannot be used by the user to move towards their answer. And then finally, you've got responses, not a punt, which means the model went ahead and answered as usual. Now, one other thing you need to remember here is Guys, can we please stop having all these questions in the chat box right now? Right. Now, some other questions when it comes to punts. Let's say the model, Shivan, I want to disable the chat box, but at the same time, I am going to put up a lot of questions so that you all get some clarity. So I want you all to respond to that. After like 2-3 minutes, once I'm done with my questions, I will pause the chat box. Right? Okay. Now, when it comes to model refusing, say the model actually could not find me flights because these dates were in the past. Is this an issue with the model? Or is the model genuinely not able to do this for me? Is it okay for the model to refuse? Genuine, right? Let's say I asked it for find me flights for the 15th of July, which is next week. And the model still comes back and says, sorry, I can't do this for you. Doesn't give me any reason, just says, sorry, I can't do this. Or it might just say, sorry, I can't do this because I can't find this information for you. Is that okay for the model to deny? No. Both of these were punts, guys. Even when it was genuine, even when it's not genuine, both of them are punts. Right? So it's not that model being genuine or not decides its punt. What it decides is how well was the model able to follow my instructions. If the model was able to do this for me, right? Model was able to go and find me flight information for 15th of July. There's nothing wrong in it. And it still says, no, I can't do this. Is it really following my instructions? No. So not following my instruction becomes an issue in instruction following, but it's still a punt for me, right? Now let's say these dates were in the past and the model said, sorry, I can't find you flight information because these dates are in the past. Genuine. We've already established this is genuine. Did it not follow my instruction here or did it follow my instruction here? It followed my instruction, but it actually could not do it. So is that an instruction following issue anymore? No, we will not penalize the model for that. If the model was able to do something and still denied, then it becomes an issue in its instruction following. I ask you, can you please pick up the book in front of you as a human, right? You're able to do it. If you still don't do it, which means you're not following my instruction. But if I tell you, can you please, I don't know, travel to the sun right now? That's something that you genuinely can't do. And if you deny me for doing that, then that's not an issue in your instruction following. I'm not going to penalize you for that. Clear for everyone what punts are? What's a punt? Punt is just a refusal statement. Useful punt, refusal statement plus extra information that can help the user. This extra information is not reasons, guys. Even if reasons are given and no extra information is given, the response becomes just a punt. Useful and not useful comes only when there's extra information after the refusal. Right? So I've spent a lot of time on this only because this does create a lot of confusion, but I hope it's very clear now. Okay, let's move on to our next dimension, which is instruction following. Right. So give me a minute. Right. So that's your punt. You've got 4 options. You will go and click on whichever one you're choosing. Then you've got, did the response follow all instructions given in the prompt? If it followed everything, no issue. If it missed out on certain elements, primary intent was fulfilled, but certain elements here and there were missed out, minor issue. If it circumvented, violated key components, did not give you the major ask that you had, major issue. It becomes not applicable when there are no instructions given. It's just plain statements. I'm not asking it to do anything. I'm literally just saying, I like the color red or the rainbow is really good. Right? There are no instructions in this particular statement. Then you've got context awareness, which means How good is the model at using context from the prompt in earlier conversations? Here, what you focus on is if it's a multi-turn conversation, which means before this particular question, there was a conversation between the model and the user that was given to you. So, for example, I told the model first, what's my day looking like? And the model gave me the three events that I had said. Then I tell the model, all right, something at 7 o'clock that's scheduled right now. Can you please change it to a product meeting for me? Then I tell the model something else. Then finally, I ask it, open my calendar for 7 p.m. It should open up to the product meeting that we set because it already has context about that. Right? So if there is a multi-turn conversation, you need to check is the model following your entire conversation or not. Beyond that, this block is also your context. So, did the model pick the right information from this or not? If you're telling 7 p.m., open my calendar for 7 p.m., and you know that at 7 p.m., the model needs to pick that you're having dinner with the band. So, how well did it pick information from here? That also becomes a part of your context. So, both your previous conversations and the context block become a part of your context awareness. If the block is not given and you have previous conversation, you will still go ahead and check. If the previous conversation is not given, block is given, you still have some context. Only in cases where both of them are not given. No previous conversation, no context. Only in those cases it becomes not applicable. All right. Both your conversation and your context block are a part of your contextual awareness. Please remember this. You will mark not applicable only when both of them are not given. Right? Next is your content relevance. So if everything given to you in your response is relevant to you, helpful to you, is not unnecessarily repeated, that becomes a no issue. Always remember these three words. These are the main things that you need to look for. How helpful is the content, how relevant is the content, and it shouldn't be repetitive. Then you've got minor issue, wherein there's a small portion of information that is either repeated, irrelevant, or unhelpful. Major issue, where there's a significant amount of unnecessary content that is repetitive, unhelpful, or irrelevant. Let's say more than 50% of your answer is repeated or irrelevant or unhelpful. That becomes major issue for us. Right? You don't have not applicable here. Please do not mark not applicable. Then you've got how complete is the content. Again, whatever I asked the model, did it go and give me all the information? If it gave me everything, no issues. If it missed out on few things here and there, minor issue. If it missed out on information that I can't use at all, it's not fulfilling my user intent at all. That becomes a major issue. After that, you've got your writing style and tone, which you already are aware of, whether you worked on Groot or your fundamental tasking.